Hello everybody and welcome back to Hearts of Iron, where last episode I had a little bit of concern. I think I did this after I finished the recording. So I had a little concern about this open space right here, right next to this invasion. So we're just shifting all of these up by one. The open space will be down here, at least for a little bit. So that seems fine. We're also pulling back our tanks from the front line. We did successfully get a little bit done on this offensive, but we're not producing enough tanks to really go super hard on this, and logistics are dicey up here. So for the time being, we're pulling back our tanks, and we are getting our logistics set up a little bit better. And in the meantime, of course, we're building up our front line here. So actually, we should queue up some of these bad boys up here. Cannot upgrade land. Actually, these are good to go. This is just a drawing issue. Okay, I don't know why those are showing as green. They actually have enough there. Sure. So that seems fine. We're pulling back our tanks, and that should hopefully make matters a wee bit better here. For the moment, anyway. So we're going to push again, but we're going to give it some time. Right now, we're primarily focusing on getting tanks out to these guys out here, and we can see we need like 388 of them, according to this. So that's going to take a little while. We are currently producing tanks at the rate of 9.72 per day. Okay, we're actually up to 40 factories working on this. Let's bump that up, and we could use some additional chromium. So that's absolutely noted. Let's take a look at what we've got going on for potential chromium around here. We could acquire some from Afghanistan. And I think we probably should. So if we were to come up over here, we can buy this from Afghanistan. There we go. And then we can buy this from Afghanistan. And that'll get us a lot of chromium right there. Actually, they rejected that. Wild. Have we seen that before? Maybe there's a cooldown on how quickly we can do that, but I don't think so. Maybe it's RNG. Let's try it again. Okay. So it looks like there's a cooldown on that. That's okay. So there's 4 chromium here. We know for an absolute fact that we need to build up infrastructure there. And we should also build infrastructure in these 2 locations. We'll get that done. There's some chromium here and there's some chromium here. So that will definitely be a good thing to get that chromium flowing in. We need that for our tanks. And we're going to be having more tanks coming out of this eventually. So chromium is absolutely a necessity at this point. So that looks good. I would love to get our hands on this chromium. For right now, looks like Afghanistan says no. So we'll come back to that and see if maybe they'll let us do that eventually. But as of right now, not going to be a thing. So we're working on infrastructure up here. That'll boost our chromium as well. What's our actual chromium deficit? It's 10? Okay. We could import some chromium. Sure. That'll be fine. So we're now 8 above, and that'll continue to go down. That's okay for the moment. So we just want to produce tanks at the maximum possible speed right now. So we're making about 10.4 per day, and that number is going to continue to increase. I do want to continue to research just kind of random things at this moment, so we'll work on that for now. And out over this direction, how's our tank withdrawal going? Okay, that looks very good. I want to check in on the status of our supply hubs up over here. So we can see 1 October, 6 October, and 13 September. Okay, so those have a ways to go yet, and they're being occasionally delayed by these attacks. That's understood. So we'll give that some time, and in the meantime, these tanks... Actually, we should be pretty close to having our tanks fully refitted over here, shouldn't we? We're delivering some modern tanks. We still need 362 modern tanks overall. These numbers look pretty okay, though. Yeah, waiting for 18 modern tanks. So there's a few tanks here and there that we need. That's understood. Lend-lease from the Mexican Socialist Republic. They want to give us some towed anti-air. We'll actually take that. That's absolutely fine. We could still use more towed anti-air. So that looks great. We're producing quite a lot of those, and we can see that our production efficiency can actually go up a lot here. So we're going to bring our production of tanks up significantly. And that looks great for right now. How's our training on the new tanks going? The new tank divisions. Well, these guys do need a bunch of modern tanks here, so their training is going to stall out eventually once they can no longer go any further until they have their actual equipment. So that's understood. I'm assuming that they have their anti-air. Yeah, they're just waiting on the tanks. Okay, so that seems fine for now. We're not in a rush to get those done at this moment. We need to ramp up our tank production still. We're up to 42 factories working on it. That's going to continue to increase, and that seems absolutely fine. We're just about through our deficit of advanced anti-air, so I'm going to move this down to about here for now. That doesn't really have an effect on the output right now, but it might later on as we ramp up our material requirements. So let's check in over here. It looks like Afghanistan is still not available to request to purchase here. That's understood. We could also start working on doing some coring. I don't think that's necessarily a great idea to do. These guys are trying to attack down over here. It's really not going very well for them. So we're going to continue to push out over this direction eventually, but definitely not before we have these logistics hubs done. The German Republic has called the Republic of Turkey as our enemy. We were already... Hang on, the Republic of Turkey? Is that different from... Okay, this is the Republic of Turkey. We were already at war with them. That's not a problem. So that seems fine. The United Arab Republic is trying to get us to join the Arab League. We're going to decline that. And docking rights from the Kingdom of Poland. Sure, that seems fine. Okay, so status on our tank production here. We should be basically done with this at this point. 52 out of 267. Well, we're definitely getting closer there. We're working on delivering these tanks to the modern tank brigades, and that looks absolutely great. So once those are finished, we will be able to get these guys back onto the front lines, but for now, this is okay. And I think we're going to have them in a shorter front line. So monopulse radar there, sure. A dangerous naval invasion. Okay, so they're trying this in northern China again. This continues to not be very effective. They're going to have a really hard time taking this. So we do need to get a research slot going here. I guess we'll grab experimental rockets. That seems fine. Invite to faction from Yugoslavia. Ah, the Czech Entente. Okay, so this is a much larger faction. The question is, do we want to join this? Basically, it's the Greater East Asian Co-Prosperity Sphere and the Allies, and then the Czech Entente is the smallest of the three. I'm going to decline that as well. For the moment, I'm reasonably content remaining unaligned. I think it's fine. So that sounds absolutely good for now. So in terms of our tank production, we're up to 11.43 per day. That has come up considerably. So we can still see this come up a lot, actually. We're at 44 out of 50. And eventually, we want this to go all the way to the maximum. We need to produce a lot of tanks. Now, we're not actually working on those conversions, and that's fine. We can lower the autonomy of a subject, and we probably should. This would move Pakistan to annexed, actually. Okay, so what we'd want to do is we'd want to move Hyderabad down to integrated puppet. And yeah, it's that subject exporting to Overlord. So can we cancel their Lend-Lease from here? No. Okay, well, I guess that's fine. For the time being, it is absolutely A-okay. So we're getting this infrastructure completed. That all looks good. I would love to get more... Ah, the fall of Berlin. Okay. So that's up over here, right? And that is... The Czech Entente pushing into the greater East Asian co-prosperity sphere. Noted. But I think that they're in a pretty precarious position there. Yeah, this does not look good for them, to be honest. That's going to be rough. So for now, that's absolutely fine. What we're interested in, of course, is making more tanks. And we're up to 45 factories working on that now. So what we're seeing here is that our overall production efficiency isn't going up very much because we're putting more and more factories into this. And that's absolutely understood. So I want to check in on the status of our land forts out over here. It's looking good. Yeah, no major issue out there. And of course, all of this is built up. It's going to be a major grind for them to push through our territory. No doubt about that. So that's absolutely wonderful. We're working on getting all of the infrastructure built up over here, but the important thing is these supply hubs. And checking in on the supply hubs, we can see that one of them has been built. I'm thinking that we may want to have a rail connection like that. And then a rail connection like that as well. So we'll get that underway. So one of these supply hubs has now been built. We'll motorize that one. And these will be motorized once we get there. We can demotorize this one maybe, but I don't know that we want to be honest. Our supplies are in a much better state up over here. And at this moment, the question is, when are these two hubs going to be done? 24 September and 2 October. Okay, so that is sped up as we got the infrastructure built up over here. That looks great. Non-aggression pact from the Kingdom of Yugoslavia and the Kingdom of Poland. Sounds good. We will accept both of those. So that's absolutely wonderful. We are, of course, going to finish up these land forts up here. We're very, very dug in up on this side. And they are attempting to do a naval invasion down over here. I'm noticing we have got some territories over here that don't appear to be quite as defended as we might like. That said, we appear to be okay here. If they land in some of these areas, we'd be able to crush it as long as we hold the naval bases, because they wouldn't be able to get supplies in. So that's not a big deal. And we've got some troops shuffling around out over here, but that seems absolutely fine. Non-aggression pact from Estonia sounds good, and we are, of course, going to continue our research here. It doesn't really matter what we put this into. We'll get it into things in general. So I'm assuming that we now have basically all of our modern tanks up over here, and we might be putting some modern tanks in here now. Yeah, we're putting some over here. It's not a huge amount. We've got nearly all of them restored up over this way. So that looks very, very good. Still waiting for a couple of towed anti-tank and, or rather, a couple of towed anti-air and some tanks, but that's absolutely fine for now. There's one additional supply hub to be built up here. That'll be done now on 1 October, although it's currently being delayed by that attack. Okay. I mean, they can keep trying to delay that if they want. It's not going to do much. It's now going to be 3 October. Like, we're still going to make progress on it. They can do that if they like. So we're really just waiting on that supply hub. That's it. That's all we're waiting on. I want to check in on the status of civilian factories. I think we can build more. Yeah, we definitely can. So we should get some of these queued up, but the question is when. And I think after... Well, actually, I think it's fine to do now. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's fine to do now. So we're going to get one over here, and then we're going to do something like this. There we go. So I do want to move up these guys here, like that. There we go. That should do. So that'll get a bunch more of those factories going. Not that we really need them, but, you know, they'll be useful to have around. Build faster. 5 October currently, they're considerably delaying this due to ongoing constant attacks right over here. Fair enough. It's still going to be done very soon. 6 October right now, that's 2 days from completion. Now 1 day from completion. Okay, they canceled their Lend-Lease. I'm surprised they did it to begin with. So non-aggression pact with Ethiopia sounds great. This supply hub, now finished. So I'm going to motorize this, and I'm going to motorize this one as well. There we go. And we've got our supplies nice and metered out over here, in theory. I'm also thinking about, like, redundant railways from here to here and, like, out over this way. Might not be a bad idea, actually. So we can get that going like this, and then this redundant railway out this way would go kind of like that. We'll get it going. It won't take very long to build. It's not a high priority. So for right now, that seems fine. Let's get these guys back up to the front. I want to set their front line to be up here, specifically like this. Very, very narrow. So we're going to assign the divisions here. We do not need them at this fallback line anymore. And then we're just going to have them spearhead from there to here is the idea. That would be the offensive. I don't love this out over here, but it's going to be kind of blocked. Yeah, I don't love it. But we can have them make their way up to the front. And this guy has a trait that he can get. Attack plus 15%. That sounds good. So we'll do that for now. Netherlands has capitulated, and we'll get our tanks right on back up to the front. Excellent. So they're currently taking some attrition down here as they move. That's understood. But we're producing more tanks than we have ever before. We're up to 12.15 per day at this point. That's looking good, and that number will continue to increase. So that looks great. We're producing almost twice the number of daily tanks that we were last time we pushed here. So we're just going to make our way up to the line. And some divisions are not in position yet. That's understood. They'll get there. So back up to the line we go. And the question is, how much is this straining our supplies up here? It's actually not too bad. Yeah, that's really not too bad on the supply strain. So I like it. That looks great. So our tanks are now back into position. And we'll be ready to attack here soon. The Kingdom of Livonia. Sure, that's fine. So at this point, we're just waiting on these guys to actually be ready to launch this. So the division is still preparing, so minus 10%. And some divisions are not in position, minus 4%. So we'll give that a little bit. They'll be arriving up here shortly. And we're just trying to focus very, very precisely up here. In fact, I may even do manual orders on these attacks, because I just don't like the way it wants to fill in the actual orders here. Just not a fan. So these guys should be attacking up over here, right? So if we ordered this to happen, they would launch this attack, and these guys, we would want to also move in here, while this force could support this attack, like that. And that'll push them out of there pretty thoroughly. And we can just slowly push our way up like this, very, very cautiously. So rubber processing has been researched. That's absolutely fine. We can continue to work our way down this over here. Looks great. And we also have these unassigned divisions. They are, of course, going into our Coast Guard. I want to check in over here. Yeah, this is all fine. No issue over here. Okay. So we're just trying to take this one singular province right now. That is the only goal at this moment. And we see that they're definitely sending reinforcements in here. This is unsurprising. And this is a fairly mountainous province, so that's going to be a little difficult, but their reinforcements continue to flow in. But we will continue to attack just this province here. They're moving a lot of troops over there, actually. That's good. We actually want that. So that sounds great. We can now use this as a fixing force and have that move in right here. So now they can't flow troops directly like this. We know that we're probably going to lose this. That's fine. And I'm actually just going to delete this for now. So losing this is absolutely a-okay. We don't mind that. All we're trying to do is push these guys out of here. And how long do we expect this battle to last at this point? 80 days? Okay. That's taking a while. These guys have decided to stop the attack. Get in there. So we're still just very, very cautiously fixing these guys here. But this attack is not going tremendously well. That's okay. That's absolutely fine for right now. We can back this off and tell them to chill. There we go. And they're going to move around a little bit. I kind of want to see what this guy would do with an offensive line order right up over here. Why does it want to fill this in over here? It's beyond this, but okay, whatever. We'll just order this to get started. And we will see how we're doing on our tank requirements. So we can see we need 3450 right now, 3587. That's a big tick increase. 3564 went down. 3551 going down. 3538. Okay. So this is definitely decreasing, this number, even while we're launching this attack. That's a good sign. So we're a little low on chromium. That's absolutely an issue, and I'd love to come out over here and offer Afghanistan this purchase again, but they're not interested. So what we need to do is we need to go shopping. Somewhere with chromium who would be willing to sell it to us, ideally. There's not really that much around. There's some rubber out over here, yeah, but I'm wondering about maybe if we were to start making some moves in Africa, if we could reach down here. We cannot make it across here. And of course, Turkey is there. So that starts giving us some problems, right? Because we can't immediately make our way over this way and start trying to access some of the resources out in Africa. That's very sad, for sure. We really need Afghanistan to be willing to give us this. So I'm wondering, how long is the cooldown on that? Might be a while. That definitely might be a while. So one thing we can think about doing is we can think about coring some of these areas. So if we were to core this, I'm just wondering how much this is boosting our resources by, plus 35%, and this is reducing resources by how much? I don't think it actually says in that tooltip. Okay. So we would definitely love to get the chromium boosted over here, right? We're currently net negative in our chromium, and that's reasonably expected. We could import more. That's always a possibility, but I would prefer to take this from Afghanistan. We might be able to get this up over here. That would open up a front up here, though. So I would prefer not to do that. This is a much better target, for sure. That's sad. So I wonder how long this cooldown is. Maybe like 6 months, something along those lines. I think for now, we're just going to import some additional chromium. So we'll just go to South Africa and be like, hey, we need more. There we go. So that's fine for now. We're very negative on steel, but that doesn't actually matter for what we're trying to do here right now. So this is okay. We're going to have a hard time grinding through these mountains, and that's absolutely expected. That's deeply, deeply unsurprising. But we'll get through there eventually. Now, we could have some of our infantry help out over here. So we could have these guys... Actually, we would just want them to march in. There we go. So we can have the infantry help out here, and we're hoping to push them out of this spot. Eventually. And this is a fixing force up over here, of course. That's fine. Mysore went from integrated puppet to puppet. That's expected, and not necessarily great, but we're starting to see some of these modern tank brigades finishing up here. Okay, so that's understood. We know that we're going to have another army of tanks behind this, but we need to wait for more tank deliveries. So I want to check in where we're at on our number of needed tanks. 3457. Okay, where's this raid? The raid is up here. It should be fine. We've already dealt with all of the raids, in theory. Okay, tanks, get in here. I want you guys in here too. Push them right out of this area. We're definitely having a hard time pushing them out of these mountainous provinces, and I'm not terribly surprised about that. We just need to grind our way through this, one province at a time, is the idea. So the fixing force out over here holding these guys in place is absolutely fine. And this out over here is going to be... it's going to take some time to get pushed through that. No doubt about that, but we're slowly working on it. So if we take a look at our tank quantities here, 3418, and we're making 13.58 per day. Okay. So that's reasonably fine. We're now winning this battle as well as this battle. Okay, this just flipped back around. I'm going to have these infantry join up over here and start pushing in. Now, they're probably going to try to move reinforcements in there. That's okay. The Deccan Plateau, they're trying to do an invasion here. That's not going to go well. That's what our Coast Guard is for. So that looks good. Okay, we're easily fending this off. This is going to last a while here, and this one's going to last a while as well, but they're going to start breaking over here pretty soon. So that looks good for now, and we'll come back to this next episode. This is going to be a slow grind, and that's understood. We need to crack this open and get a corridor punched here. That's the idea. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Dark Horse, Ethan Feldman, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge, Estiel, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.